Welcome to RCAM. I'm your host, Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. So, today we start a new time slot. So, we're going to be streaming at 9 o'clock, and we're going to see how this goes. Just kind of figuring out how to navigate things with my personal life, and this just works better. And I'm going to try and shoot for 2 hour streams. So, we will see. Yesterday, we added uh, a video game stream into the mix. I was playing A Quiet Place, The Road Ahead, which was pretty scary and fun. So we'll be doing that. I think I'll do those streams every Wednesday and Saturday. So I'll do that in the evening, and then just my regular news culture streams Tuesday, Thursday, and then we'll do some Bible stuff on Fridays. So yeah, pretty excited. So today we're going to be talking about quite a few things. We're going to be discussing multiple comments from multiple different streamers, influencers, about wishing PTSD on our American soldiers, and also just anti-Israel sentiments. Now, I'm not going to come right out here and say I'm supportive of Israel. I don't really. It doesn't make a difference to me one way or the other. I'm an America first type of guy, but I also don't hate Israel. And I think like a lot of what I'm seeing is it's like Israel hatred. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also discuss some of clips that I've seen of Ben Sharpiro going viral of him. I think sitting down with Jubilee and debating a bunch of woke liberals. So that's always fun. That's Ben's claim to fame. All right. So I'm excited to watch some of those clips. And we will also talk about Trump's upcoming episode of the Joe Rogan Experience, which I believe debuts tomorrow. So that should be exciting. And it seems like the media is in full-blown panic mode. They're throwing everything at Trump with everything that they got. So I'm very curious to see how this pans out. I do not think it's going to end well for them. All right. So before we get into the stream, if you like my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all of those things. That helps me grow. And go ahead and find me on Rumble, type RCAM, and subscribe to me so that you can stay notified every time we go live, which is going to be, I think, the new schedule is going to be Tuesday through Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be doing 2 hour streams. So we're going to see how this goes. Hopefully I have the energy to do it. Guys, my schedule, by the way, crazy. My schedule is insane. But I love doing these streams, man. Even if nobody's watching, I enjoy doing them. I genuinely enjoy talking, sharing the news with you guys, and talking about culture. It's just my favorite. So we're going to keep doing that. All right. Let's get into this first story. So up until about 5 minutes ago, I was blissfully unaware of a streamer, a Twitch streamer by the name of Frogan. I'm sure that's not her real name, but now I know who she is. I'm painfully aware of who she is because I was exposed, like many of you, to her unhinged comments. And I think Twitch has become a place where people have gotten comfortable in saying all sorts of vile things without consequence, but it seems like it's catching up to them. So we're going to play this clip by this Twitch streamer Frogan, where she wishes for American soldiers to get PTSD. No, I'm not exaggerating. She actually says this. So here's the clip. This is by Drama Alert, and let's just play it.
I have no pity at all for any fucking soldiers. Distress, thank you so much. I will never have any fucking pity for any fucking soldiers. U.S. military? Boo fucking who? I hope you get PTSD.
She seems lovely. No pity for any U.S. soldier. As she stuffs her face. and is spouting that crap from, I think she's in America.
You know?
And what are they saying here in the chat? Wishing PTSD on someone is wild. Yep. Same, zero pity. I don't know how you can forgive endorsing genocide.
I do the ones I do the ones I'm
I think that term genocide is being thrown about a little liberally nowadays. I really do. So a genocide, from my understanding, you know what? I'm not even going to let my uh, imagination run wild. I'm just going to look up the definition of genocide. So that way there's no ambiguity. All right? All right. So here is the definition, at least the first one that popped up. Genocide, the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group of people, with the aim of destroying that nation or group. So this can be pretty vague. Honestly, I'm just going to be honest with you. That definition could include like any nation that goes to war with another nation. All right, is Russia genociding Ukrainians? Are Ukrainians genociding Russians? Part of the nature of war, whether you like it or not, is going to war with your enemies. And usually your enemies make up an entirely different ethnic group. That's just the reality. We may not like it, it may make us uncomfortable, but that's the nature of war. And this is me, by the way. I am not saying I am pro-Israel or pro-Palestine. At the end of the day, that's their war, that's their business. I am pro-America not getting involved with wars, because I think many of our wars were fought needlessly. But I also wouldn't be wishing PTSD on our soldiers, because they saw a threat. I'm imagining she's probably referencing the US's intervention with Iraq and Afghanistan and all that, and they were just signing up to defend their country, like many people after 9/11 were. So let me let her continue to talk.
like whatever about the US soldiers are the ones that like acknowledge that like what they did was wrong. They didn't know back then. Whatever. You're a good person in my book. I'm like a Tom, thank you so much for the 10 gifted.
And people are just throwing this woman money for saying this.
So the US military that are like, yeah, like, I did this back then, but now I know it's wrong. Like, I'm changed. Like, fuck imperialism. Fuck this. You don't deserve the PTSD. But, like, any other motherfucker, you're joining them. You're, oh, my God, I want my fucking Camaro. No student loans. Fuck you. I hope you get PTSD. And I hope you get no health insurance when you get back into fucking America.
This is like, in my opinion, peak American entitlement. God, I gotta find out if this chick is actually from America. Give me a second, because if she is Frogan from? All right, let's read this. Give us a little bit of insight into this individual. Twitch partner streamer Frogan has landed at the center of the Twitch's hottest controversy of the day. Frogan's a Twitch streamer with nearly 60,000 people are paying this anti-American Muslim, obese Muslim at that, just throwing money at her to just be obnoxious and anti-US military. She is largely known as Hasan Piker's mod, who is effectively the face of political streaming. Now, however, she is blown up on X after a clip went virally, her negatively talking about the military. Okay, so who is she? I knew it, man. I knew it. Frogan who is sometimes Frogan, who sometimes goes by Frogan, is a partner Twitch streamer. Blah blah blah. Half Lebanese, half white. Frogan is from a Muslim family and grew up in Michigan. So she can say this obnoxious stuff about the American military from the comfort of her own home in the United States, where our soldiers are defending her liberty to say the stupid things that she's saying. Of course. I knew it reeked of American entitlement the moment she opened her mouth. And the moment she closed her mouth. Because, yeah, only a obese American Muslim would be bold enough to criticize the U.S. military as she is living in the U.S. And you want to know something? This is my sentiments, all right? We got these Muslims here. They're living in America. They're waving their Palestinian flag. Go there if it's so great, all right? If you like it there, go. No one's stopping you, but yet you're here. Why is that? Why are you here and not in these other nations? Very peculiar. Why did you decide to take up residence in the United States and stay here? She can leave, but she doesn't. Probably because she knows it's not safe for her to open her big fat mouth in these other countries. And it wouldn't be tolerated. And then she decries, that we went to war because we were, and I will give her this, I will concede this, we were led to believe that there were weapons of mass destruction, and ultimately that has proven to not be true, at least from my understanding. Now, I'm not going to claim to be an expert in geopolitics. I'm not. All right, just stating that. But I do have respect for our military, a lot of respect. My dad served in the Navy. My uncle has served in the Navy, and I have tremendous respect for our soldiers, and that they are fighting for something bigger than themselves. Now, whether or not our government has a noble cause, obviously that's up to debate. But I think initially our involvement in Afghanistan, trying to fight terrorists who bomb the World Trade Center, I think, yeah, that's that's something that was noble and brave, and a lot of people were willing to give up their lives to do that. And I think initially, their hearts were in the right place. So yeah, this woman makes me kind of sick to my stomach. It's kind of another thing is I can't believe people like this are famous, man. It's unbelievable to me. How does this person have 60,000 people listening to these low IQ takes? Imperialism as I stuff my face with food. Imperialist. Shut up. All right. She has more, though. So this is from One Peg. Anything for views also seems to extend to a tipathon with a goal where you bake a recreation of the Twin Towers in an airplane. Hey, Twitch, remember that tweet that I wrote about uniformity and discipline? You could do that at any time now. All right, let's.
Okay, 6250. 9/11 baking stream with Raf and Capri. If we get to this goal by 9/11, Capri, Raf, and I will make the Twin Towers out of a stacked cake, and we'll make an airplane, and we'll recreate 9/11.
What a disgusting monster. Really, actually gross. I would like to start a tipathon where we can raise money to send this woman to another country. I think that would be great. And look at how smugly and pleased she looks, saying that, oh yeah, we'll raise money to recreate 9/11 with
Raf
cake.
and I will make the Twin Towers out of a stacked cake, and we'll make an airplane, and we'll recreate 9/11.
That crap is not funny, dude. That's not funny at all. It's not cute. You know, like I had family and friends that were in the World Trade Center, or at least my someone I know. He was a firefighter that day. You know, I grew up, in Queens, and yeah, it's just not funny. Anyway, she ends up getting banned, which I think is great. So Twitch partner Frogan has been banned. Sorry to see you go. Couldn't have happened to a better person, if I'm being honest. Yeah, because apparently at least Twitch has enough respect for our soldiers to not tolerate this type of nonsense. Now, I'm not one for censorship or anything like that, but it is nice to actually see like it happen the other way around, and for these Muslims to not get away with spewing nonsense. Now, I would love to see one day somebody that's screaming anti-Christian sentiments to be banned, but I mean, that'll never happen. But I think this is a step in the right direction. I think her getting banned is good. All right, I saw this. Oh, I'm sorry. I saw this meme, and I just thought, I have no pity. It does look like her. Oh God, the internet kills me sometimes. Oh man. So yeah, that's Frogan, the latest Muslim sensation, being critical of our U.S. soldiers and wishing PTSD on them. Lovely person. And here's her mentor, Hasan. Now, this isn't related to U.S. soldiers, but it's Hasan is, obviously very pro-Palestine. And again, I'm not going to say I'm pro-Palestine or pro-Israel. I'm neither. I'm pro-America. I'm America first. If a clip ever gets taken out of context, this is I'm America first. I value American lives first over anything. But this war is talked about so much, man, that you just can't help but talk about it. So this is a video from a clip from Hasan Piker saying basically it doesn't matter if rapes happened on October 7th. It doesn't change the dynamic for me at all. I think that's a pretty good incentive for people to want to fight back. All right. Just gonna go out on a limb here and say that seems like a response to your people being, what is it, 1,300 people brutally murdered and assaulted. I think responding to that would warrant something visceral. And I think any nation where that happened would have responded with equal force, if not more force.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if fucking rapes happen on October 7th. Like, that doesn't change the dynamic for me even this much. So that's the other part of this problem that many people that can't contend with. Like, the Palestinian resistance is not perfect. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if
they're not perfect. They just grape people, but they're, no, I mean, they got problems, guys. They just scrape a little bit. Like, that's insane. All right? That's insane. If we had, all right, and I forget who made this comparison, but I thought it was pretty good. They did a pretty good breakdown. Oh, it was Constantine. I think I'm saying that right. He has the Trigonometry podcast. He did a good breakdown of the Israel-Palestine conflict. And after listening to kind of what he had to say, Because again, I will say I'm kind of a noob when it comes to understanding geopolitics because I care primarily about America. I talk mainly about America. Even my motivation to talk about this was because they were critical of American soldiers. So my priority will always be America. But he did break down like the the amount of people that were killed like in percentages, and if it happened here, if we did it percent by percent, it'd be like I don't know, thousands upon thousands of people. And he said there's no way the U.S. would have tolerated that type of thing, and I think he's completely right. We wouldn't have if somebody, and that's why we had the response that we did in Afghanistan. After our people were lost their lives in the Twin Towers, we had a very visceral response, as we should, to demonstrate strength. That's a good thing when you're when you're looking out for the interests of your own nation. And I don't think I think Israel has a right to defend themselves. And it seems like to me like they're making every measure to try to reduce casualties, and I think that's a good thing. And I think, unfortunately, though, war is war, and casualties are going to happen on both sides. It sucks. It is what it is. Hopefully, when Trump gets back into office, he can bring peace to these nations. I think if anybody can do it, it's him. But until then, that's just the way of life. It's the way of war. It's always been that way. So, anyway, really horrible thing to say. And he's not going to get banned, by the way. His protege may get banned. Hasan, not going to get banned. This guy has too much leverage for him to get banned. So he's going to be able to pretty much get away with saying this, and there's going to be no consequences. So, and it's a pretty horrible thing to say. Now, I don't support perma banning any of these people, but maybe like a slap in the wrist, like don't do that. Chill out. Saying you're it doesn't matter if people get raped is pretty awful, by any standard. But I'm not, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemies, So pretty sick. And then we have it's like they all planned and coordinated. Like, how can I say the most crazy, bizarre stuff back to back? So we have Frogan, or also Frogan the Hut. We have Hasan Piker, and we have former porn star. I don't know if she's still practicing. I have no idea. Mila Khalifa. Khalifa's family fled the Middle East because of an ongoing war when she was a child, and she grew up in Maryland within the safety and stability afforded to by all Americans by the U.S. military. Correct. The same stability and safety that Frogan was guaranteed by our U.S. military, and this is what she thinks of U.S. military members. So let's listen to this. All right.
Good morning to everybody who is not in the U.S. military. Good morning to everybody who is sitting at home and not on soil that doesn't belong to them, fighting a war for a country that doesn't care about them. I
do agree that I don't think our country cares about us that much.
Hope you go over there and get your little brain all scrambled up with PTSD, and then come back here and see how much the United States cares about you, Pookie. See how much they care about you when you come back with, oh, I'm so sad. I piss my pants every time I see a falafel stand.
What a demented human being. Like, I just don't get how you can, like, you can disagree with our involvement in wars, fine, whatever. But hoping that they come back with PTSD for fighting in these wars, screwed up, dude.
In Manhattan, let's see how much the VA cares about you. Let's see what they tell you to do with your little broken brain from going over to fight a war that's not yours. They're going to tell you to try breathing exercises because the US government does not give a fuck about you once you cannot die for them. Once you're done, once you're a shell, they don't care about you. What did I say on Z-Way that one time? Yeah, I think that still stands as very accurate. Good.
Yeah, it's just like every unhinged take possible coming out and about. And these people say this too, again, while living in the United States. I don't know if they understand the irony of it. Like, your ability to say what you're saying right now was guaranteed to you by soldiers who fought and died for our country. And the land that doesn't belong to you, I don't know if she was talking about them going over and fighting in other lands or fighting or the land that we're currently living in. But it actually does belong to us, in fact, because we conquered this nation. This is our nation. Yeah, we lived in a world of conquest, and we came here and we conquered it. So the U.S. belongs to us. It is our nation. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You can go somewhere else, though. You know, same sentiment as Frogan. If you don't like living in the United States of America, go kick rocks. Go somewhere else. You don't have to stay here. You're under zero obligation to live in the United States. So yeah, more brain dead takes. I'd like to just see what the comments say. I mean, she's right. The U.S. government doesn't care about you. Once you die for them. Alternatively, live. Oh man, people. All right, I'm not actually going to go into the comments because I am very concerned that I will be unwittingly exposed to pornography, and I am not trying to get banned from streaming. I'm just not. Speaking of people that got banned from streaming, another anti-Israel Muslim. A lot of Muslims. This is a side note, right? I don't know if there are any Muslims that watch my streams, but I just want to make something clear. I think Islam is a demonic religion. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I think we are seeing a rise in Islam that Christians should be more concerned about. I see a lot of Christians wanting to lock arms and sing Kumbaya, but at the end of the day, these people, they don't want to hold our hands. They don't want to, they don't want to unite with us. All right, maybe for a time to fight wokeism, and I think that's fine. But at the end of the day, they're in this to win it. All right, they're in this to get converts. They're in this so that their religion prevails. And I think Christians are sheepishly thinking that they're not as big of a threat as they actually are. But this is one of the fastest growing religions in the world. And it's one that we should not take lightly as Christians. I believe, and I don't know, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe for a time, Sneeko was toying around with Christianity. And he ultimately decided to abandon his pursuits, apostate, and give his life to Muhammad. So there's that. So anyway, I went off on a tangent. Let's briefly talk about this, and then we'll circle back to that. So Sneeko has been banned for a week on Kick for talking to minors, which, by the way, is, I actually think, a baloney. Now, I'm uncertain why he actually got banned, but I do find it ironic that he got banned, all right? Because he was recently trashing Rumble a little bit, because they weren't meeting his needs, and he ultimately went to Kick, and sure enough, he gets a Kick, and like a week later, the guy gets banned. So Rumble, the platform that allowed you to speak freely after you got banned from other platforms, they're not living up to your standards, so you drop them, go to kick, and then automatically get banned. I find that rich, actually. I find that hilarious. The grass isn't always greener. So I think yeah, he's dumb, but I don't think he's guilty of talking to minors in this way. Now, I'm not going to play these two videos, but these videos show two instances of Sneeko talking to minors. But the moment that he finds out they're minors, he ends the streams. Like whatever, however he's talking to them, he cuts it out. He stops doing it. So, you know, even though I don't see eye to eye on Sneeko, I'm not pro-Islam like he is. I do think that this is bogus, but I do also find it rich that he's banned from Kick, at least temporarily. And I do believe he just released a tweet saying that he was going to be streaming, or he's officially back on Kick. Let's see this. Sorry about that. Had to sneeze. All right. Yeah, he's unbanned on Kick, and he's live on Rumble too. Crawling back to Rumble, where he can actually speak freely. And I cannot underscore, guys, by the way, how important it is to continue to stream to Rumble. I'm not saying you can't stream anywhere else, but Rumble is the only place that guarantees free speech. Flat out, period. Free speech for everybody, including people like Frogan the Hut, Hasan, and Mila Khalifa. I radically disagree with everything they say, but I still do think they have the right to say it. I'd be lying if I said it. I didn't find it a little bit funny that they're getting banned from these platforms. I do find that rich, but still, ultimately, I do think they have the right to say their nonsense, even if it's radical and wild. And I also think it's good. It's good to see these people show the world who they are. And that's what free speech does. It allows good people to fight bad information and stand for the truth, but it also allows extremely stupid people to expose themselves. So I think that's a good thing. All right. Let's move on to this next video. So this is Jack Doherty. Now, I recently did a video covering this guy crashing his McLaren, and it looks like he's back at it again and being an idiot on the road as if he learned nothing. Now, I do want to say, I don't know if this is a recent video. It very well could be an old one, but if it is a recent video, this guy he's an idiot. So I'm just gonna play this real quick. Yeah, not like other people are driving on the road, and he's just trying to be a jackass. So, yeah, streamers, man, they say radical stuff and do radical stuff to get views. And I just find it wild. The most radical thing you're gonna see me do is maybe like, I don't know, eat really hot sauce, something. Definitely not doing that though. No, views are not worth it. I'd rather just say what's true, speak my mind, comment on it, and move on, and not do stuff for clout while putting other people's lives at risk. Just seems dumb. Dumb. All right. Before I get into the Trump story, I do just want to circle back to what I was talking about before with Sneeko and Islam. So this is one of those things that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I've been seeing Islam grow in popularity. I've been seeing people like Sneeko and Hasan, and now this Frogan chick, and who else? Andrew Tate. Make this belief system seem cool. And I've seen a lot of Christians cozying up to them, trying to unite with them. I've seen even Tristan Tate, who claims to be a Christian, talk about uniting with Islam to fight the LGBT, and that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But at the end of the day, if you're a legit Christian, we are ideologically opposed. All right. If you're a Christian, then you have to believe that Jesus Christ is the way, the truth, and the life, and that no one comes to the Father except through him. Not Muhammad, not Buddha, not Krishna, not any other religion. It's through Christ and Christ alone that we have salvation. And I think Christians are starting to forget that. And I think Christians are not as serious as Islam is about making converts and sharing the good news. And I think that's something that we need to get serious about, because if we fail to do this, we are slowly going to see Christianity start to shrink into irrelevancy. Now, do I think that Islam will prevail? No, because I know how the book ends. I know that the gospel will be preached to all nations, and I know in the end, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess. But that doesn't mean that we take this lightly. It doesn't mean that we shrink back. It doesn't mean that we renege on our responsibility to share the gospel. It doesn't mean that we stop standing for truth and stop praying for the people of Islam to convert. It doesn't mean that we stop sharing the gospel with Muslims. It doesn't mean that we stop challenging them in the culture. It doesn't mean that we take things lying down. Yes, let's have conversations with Muslims. Let's unite with them to fight common enemies, but never forget in that our chief goal is to get them to accept Christ, get them to turn from their sin, turn from their false idol, because that's what Muhammad is. He's a false idol, false prophet. Reject him and follow Christ. That is the goal. That is what we should be trying to do at every opportunity, not shrinking back. So I just wanted to say that before we jumped into our next topic. All right, so the other day, a couple of days ago, Tim Pool, I saw a lot of conversation revolving around Tim Pool, and I come to discover that he was contemplating basically severely downsizing his company, basically because of poor management. So I'm going to play this clip, and we're gonna talk about it.
The show is over, but yeah, I think this might be the end. We are well off. It is not a financial thing. We make a lot of money, but piece by piece, the structure becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes impossible to manage. I would never call out anybody personally or individually. I would just say that, like, compounding, I don't know, laziness.
Yeah.
That builds up over time, which adds more and more workload to, me and Allison, to get to the point where we're just like, can't do it. We do really well. And, the problem is, without a proper CEO who isn't hosting the show, it's not possible. Like, I think we have like 30-something employees. And so, the conversations I've had with family is like, I am under no illusions that I have the capability to make this company what it could be. And I hear all these things, no, Tim, you're wrong. Oh, come on. We've been trying to get a coffee shop open for 2 years.
Yeah.
Clearly, I cannot do it. I skateboard every day. Yeah, if we can't make cameras and a computer work, and despite all the previous failures we've had, there's not a single person here who can make sure that either the studio is operating or secondary studio is operating. We've gotten to a point in the company where everyone's kind of just kicked their feet up and said, I'm doing what I need to be doing.
Yeah.
And then that just means I'm Sisyphus pushing the rock up. The problem is people are sitting on the rock. We have this awesome property. We have skate parks. We have Willy Wonka's candy factory or whatever, chocolate factory. Why can't we get people to just do something? Again, like not calling anybody. I don't want to insult anyone directly, but it's just seeing someone stand around do nothing. And then so the challenge is, in order to make this show operate, I have to work what is effectively 16 hours a day. So like I haven't had it's fair to say, weekday sunset in 4 years. You know, like just through the window or something, or now that we're in the new studio, there's no windows at all. Wow, what if I finished work at a normal time like everybody else and just, I don't know, hopped in the car and went down to the river and looked at frogs?
Yeah.
If I show up in the morning and I do my morning show, I get to give a portion of the work that I do to them so that they can try and make something work. And, you know, I know they're trying as hard as they can, and some more successful than others, but it just becomes too burdensome to the point where unless they get off the ground and are able to maintain and manage themselves and make money, we can't do it anymore. There's a degree of staff required to run a show like this, and
This music, man, is obnoxious.
I gotta work 16 hours every single day to the bone and figuratively say I get no weekday sunsets so that someone else can be like, I ain't gonna fix it. And there are a lot of people here who are willing to do a lot more and go above and beyond. Yeah, Raymond's sitting right here.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I was like, yeah, you should sit in this one. And then there are a lot of people that are like, when can I put the knife in Tim's back? I can keep doing my morning show, there's no issue.
Yeah.
I require 0 employees to do that. So I kind of feel like I shouldn't get paid less for, like, so I'll give you some stories. We've had instances of people who work here leaking private information to far leftists who are harassing and stalking us.
Oh, good.
Yeah. We've had instances of people stealing equipment, getting caught on camera.
All right. So on some level, I do sympathize with Tim Pool. If you've ever been in leadership positions, you understand that it takes a high degree of skill to be able to lead people effectively and be able to build a strong team that is capable of operating at the same level that you are. But I think a good leader recognizes that early on and is able to steward leadership in other people well, so that he shouldn't be doing all of it by himself. And I believe, I don't know if it was in this clip, I didn't hear it, but he says something along the lines of, they can do 90% of what I do, but he's picking up the 10% that they're not doing. And I think if you have staff that's able to do 90% of what you do, that's actually pretty good. I've heard it said that if you can have an employee do it 50% as good as you can do it, let them do it. So if you're operating at 90%, I think that's pretty good. And all they would need is some coaching. But I do think the problem is that it seems like he wants his hands in everything and he's not empowering his team or empowering management. It seems like he said that early on, that it's a problem with management to run the business for him. Because a good leader acknowledges that they can't do everything. They find talent, quality talent, that can pick up the slack, that can cover their blind spots. I think one of the reasons companies like the Daily Wire is so successful is because it's not Ben Sharpiro running the whole show. Ben Sharpiro is the face of the Daily Wire, but it's also the executive at the executive level. It's being run by Jeremy Boring. And I think Tim has a relationship with these guys. He should be picking their brain. What are you doing? How are you guys making it work? Because they seem to have a model where they're operating at a very, very high level with significantly more staff. They're generating income. They're making moves in the culture that Tim seems to want to be able to do. Talk to them, call them, get them on the phone. You have a relationship with them. See what they could do to help you. And I'm sure they would be more than willing to help. So we have examples of companies are doing what he's trying to do. And I don't imagine that Ben Sharpiro or Jeremy Boring are designing every single one of those sets, is making sure that sound, video, audio, all that is working in every one of their sets. I imagine that they hired competent people to make sure that everything is running effectively so that they don't have to worry about that. And all Ben has to do is show up, sit down, prepare, maybe do a reading and read the news, which is essentially what Tim is trying to do and what he could have done with his guests. But no, instead he actually, crazy, because I would never do this, all right? Publicly is talking about his, managerial problem and how he has to shut things down. And I don't think that's something that should have ever even become public. I don't. I think that's something that should have stayed behind closed doors and should have been worked out with his staff, and if he had to lay people off, he had to lay people off. But I do think, I guess it's easy for me to say because I'm not in it. I'm not in the thick of it, but I do think it could have been avoided. Now, it does seem like he does ultimately remove some of his staff. So he does come out with this announcement that we'll talk about, and then some more about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a very lucky man. I am in a relationship with a caring and beautiful woman who's helped make this whole company possible. Allison handles all of the heavy lifting to make everything here function cleanly, smoothly, and make it work. And this has been one of the reasons why we take security very seriously, and it is why we have been working as hard as we can to make sure everything operates. It is that we're getting married, and I'm having a child. This is, thank you very much. And this has been for some time now. I've just not said anything. Additionally, working 2 full shifts and running a company makes it impossible to have done this years earlier. And which is the constant conversation that we've had is, when do we stop this so that we can actually have a family and live a normal life, I suppose? Well, the answer is we can't. We can't do everything that this company is doing. I can't work 16 hours a day and take care of my wife and child. The additional consideration is, as the show gets larger and larger, hence some content reductions and things like that, security implications become a bit more severe, such as, can we raise a family when we get swatted 15 times in 1 year and have crazy people in dresses showing up on our property beating up our employees? It's very, very difficult. With that being said, we come to a crisis point when we can't sustain all of these things at the same time. And I don't think any sane human being would be able to do it. The amount of energy is just non-existent within a human being. With that being said, we have talked about it, especially following the conversations we had last night, and we decided we'll keep doing this. We will be reducing and restructuring the company so that it can be more manageable for our family plans. We can start prioritizing our family and stop prioritizing a company and the work that both of us do. Allison also works 16 hours a day to make sure this company functions because administrative work has to be done. And we're going to likely pursue outside administrative assistance in making all this possible so that we can finally take care of ourselves and live the dream life that we've wanted to live for a long time.
So you can see his motivations for some of his decisions is to prioritize family, which I actually think generally it's a good thing. All right. It's a good thing to focus on your family, but I don't think this is an either or type of situation. I think he could do both, but it involves doing what he's doing right now. Thankfully, he's had enough foresight to think about it, to get somebody to help with managing and administering and doing all that stuff to free up his time to be with his family, because there is a point where you work and work and work. And I've been there in a situation where I'm working crazy hours grinding and not seeing my family. I mean, that put a real strain on my marriage when in 2017 when I was being run ragged by a church that I was working for. So I get it. I understand it. And it's part of the reason too why me, I don't. So even my streams, all right, guys, my streams, this doesn't interfere with family time. All right, I stream very intentionally from 9 to 11. My daughter yesterday wanted to play with me, and I had to stream at 8 o'clock. And I was just like, you know what? Nah, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to make sure that I'm playing with my daughter at 8 o'clock because family comes first, and I'll do my stream. I'll start my streams at 9, have her in bed by 8:30, and we'll be good to go. Because that's important, and I get the security concerns. My God, man. I've dealt with, just some crazy people in the comments, so I can't imagine getting actual credible threats on your life and having to raise a family. So I understand his motives behind everything, but I do think him whining about it is it's just no bueno. And it does seem like, though, he did follow through with downsizing. So this is a tweet from Hannah Claire Brimlow. Does anybody need a podcast co-host? So she has obviously been in Tim Pool's chair for a long time. I think just earlier in the month, she had a Brimcast that she was getting started. So there's going to be a new show, I think, by her. And she has some great commentary from the several episodes I've heard with her being a host. And it seems like she's already out of a job. I think I saw Cassandra Fairbanks posting about employment issues. I don't know if she did get the axe or not. I don't know, but it does seem like they're downsizing. Now, the good news is that it looks like Hannah has gotten a lot of support, and she said, "I'm grateful for all the opportunities I've had over the last 3 years. Unexpected change is always difficult. I suspect all my other colleagues who are now facing a similar situation feel the same way, but some cool stuff is coming. I'll share more soon." But it does look like she's going to be joining the quartering on his channel. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, he's putting in work, man. He's gotten Melanie Mack. I think she's a great co-host. That guy named Styx, I don't really know too much about him. And he also got Luke from We Are Change as a Friday host, so he's also joining the team. And now he has Hannah Claire. So yeah, he's putting in work. He's building something, I think, comparable to what Tim is. He's not quite there, but he's doing it. So hats off to him. Honestly, for putting in work. Now, I want to come back to this discussion about Tim Pool. So this was a post by PDB. Tim Pool quits. I've never seen a show, but I have heard great things about it. I used to work 18 hours a day, and I traveled for 15 of 30 days a month. I had 5 warehouses in 5 different countries, and each one operated at levels I now consult others on. When I had downtime, I used to jump on and do customer service to make sure my reps were on point. Everything ran through me. I used to party my ass off as well. I would wine and dine others and create a baby formula when others told me it was impossible. We used to fill out thousands of orders a day, all shipped the same day with handwritten letters thanking customers. You people are really weak and sad for feeling bad for Tim Pool, who can't manage his employees and one studio well enough that he's quitting. Give me a break. I guess us Greek Americans are just built differently. I was raised to work this way. Yes, I did have a great life, spectacular actually, and jet setting that can be relived through a movie, but I didn't see my kids enough. Yep. Because of that and battles with the government, I stopped and slowed down for now. But having no family and complaining, this generation is toast. These podcasters and influencers are just early to the scene. Real dudes are coming to take over, and before you know it, you lazy dudes will be pushed out. Now, it does seem like the motivation, as I said before, was to prioritize his family. But again, I think a good leader, man, a good leader can do both. They can run a company well and still balance that family time. But it does take somebody that understands leadership. It does take somebody that trusts their team. It does take somebody that's going to empower their employees to do the work. And I'm not saying there's not going to be periods of time where there's long nights. There absolutely will if you're going to do anything great. But it involves taking risks, and it involves trusting the judgment of some other people that are farther along the road than you are, really. And I think, again, he has an opportunity to consult with people from the Daily Wire to see what he could do better. And I'm sure people like Jeremy Boring have dealt with all the things that he is currently dealing with right now. And they've developed systems and hired the right people to deal with it. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about that. I thought that was interesting. And this came on the heels, too, of just multiple co-hosts parting ways and things happening. There's Matt Christensen, I think his co-host, and him parted ways. There's another small little falling out between, I guess, the two that do the Conspiracy Pilled podcast. It's on Rumble. So they parted ways. I just thought, like, man, this is just back to back to back. It's been a bad week for conservatives, or at least smaller conservative media news outlets. Not good. But there is good news. Trump is going to be on the Joe Rogan Experience tomorrow. Wild. What this podcast is going to break the internet. This podcast is going to be huge. Okay? This is going to be next level. So I think this is awesome. I think this is a net positive. And I think Joe Rogan made the right call when he decided to get Trump on his podcast. And I think Trump is brilliant for taking this. So we had, the female equivalent of the Joe Rogan podcast with Kamala Harris when she appeared on the Call Her Daddy podcast, that degenerate sex podcast. Well, this is better. I'm not saying that everything Joe talks about is wholesome and good, but definitely far more interesting than polygamous relationships and all the other degenerate stuff that Alex Cooper talks about. And I don't think Kamala Harris could sit down for 3 hours and talk to anybody and it not be an absolute disaster for her. I don't think that. So I know that her campaign was toying around with the idea of this. So there was this post. Kamala Harris could join podcaster Joe Rogan for an interview. And guys, I prayed hard. All right. I prayed hard for this to happen. I wanted it to happen, but it just wasn't God's will. Even God wanted to spare Kamala that disaster. And ultimately, she, I think news broke that she will not be doing that podcast. So I think, I think it would have been a mistake for her. But the fact that Trump is doing it is great. And of course, the media is frothing at the mouth over this. So there's this headline. Trump cancels all his events in favor of one of the worst people ever. No, Joe Rogan's the worst. And this is by TNR. I don't even know what this publication is. All right. After backing out of several major interviews at the last minute, Donald Trump has one last major appearance on the horizon, the Joe Rogan Experience. The Republican presidential nominee will be meeting with a former Fear Factor host on Friday, reported Politico. It'll be the first time that Trump has appeared on Rogan's podcast. Over the last several months, Trump has made a concerted effort to reach young male voters, which is brilliant, by the way. Very smart move on Trump to actually be prioritizing young male voters. If he can galvanize the votes of young men and get them to actually show up at the polls, I think that'll make a significant difference and nobody else is trying to get their votes. You think any strong, competent males are going to support Kamala Harris, white dudes for Harris? Almost every single person that I've seen trying to support Harris has been like a beta male, an effeminate homosexual. So I think this is smart for Trump to do. Over the last several months, blah, 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 male voters by signing up for several interviews with podcasters, including Danny Aiden Ross, the Lex Friedman podcast, 6 Feet Under, hosted by Mark Calloway, perhaps known for The Undertaker, and Theo Von's podcast this past weekend. Yeah. Meanwhile, Trump has aggressively dodged more mainstream news appearances, including going so far as to break the election tradition by refusing to sit for a 60-minute interview in September, which he reportedly backed out of last minute over fears that the rigorous show would fact-check him. No, actually, that's probably not what I suspect. Trump is privy to the media being manipulative, shameless liars, and he didn't want to sit through another 60 minutes where he was going to be taken out of context and given overtly biased interview questions by people who hate him. Call me crazy, but it doesn't sound like a good time to sit down with people who going in are going to twist every word that you say, lie about you shamelessly, and try to make you look as bad as humanly possible. Who would want to do that? Can you blame the guy? I can't. I can't blame Trump for not wanting to sit down and talk with these people. But I do think him appearing on Rogan is good. Rogan shared an odd moment with Trump in August when podcasting behemoth appeared to side with Robert F. Kennedy over the MAGA leader before the independent presidential candidate bent the knee to Trump. Trump then chose to clap back, writing on Truth Social that Rogan was getting beat at the UFC. Yeah, I remember Trump doing this. I thought it was a mistake. But maybe they'll talk about it. I'd definitely be curious to see if that happens. Following the first presidential debate between Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris last month, Rogan gave the Democratic presidential nominee her flowers, commenting on air that whoever helped coach her had done an effing amazing job. See, the difference in that debate was not a difference in like who's going to have better policies, who's going to be better for the country. Rogan told comedian Tom Segura at the time, the debate, in my opinion, was who was better prepared. She was way better prepared. Harris also been in talks to sit down with Joe Rogan for an interview of reported routers. So I guess that's it. Yeah, which she's ultimately not going to do. I saw a story. I'll have to find it, but she backed out of that interview, so that's not happening. But again, Trump sitting down with Rogan, I think this is going to be something that's in his element, something that he is trying to do. I mean, we saw. I think I'm getting sick with whatever my kids had. We got back from camping, and everybody came back with both my girls came back with stuffy noses. I'm afraid might be coming down with it. Hopefully not, though. We'll see. All right. So Trump cancels all. We just read that. All right. So now with Trump appearing on this podcast, again, I do think it's going to be good for him. I think this is going to be Trump in his element. I saw how he did on the Theo Von podcast. And I think him just having conversation and speaking freely is actually going to be very beneficial. I don't think Rogan is going to softball him the entire time. I think Rogan's probably going to ask him some legitimate questions. And they're probably just going to have some interesting conversations, which I think is going to be good. What I would love to see, what would have been great, is if they had Joe Rogan moderate a conversation between these two. Imagine for 3 hours them just talking. And I think hopefully if this format does well for Trump, hopefully it sets a trend where we see more presidential candidates doing this style. And we see them, foregoing the mainstream media interviews for these podcasts that people largely listen to and are influential and just seem more authentic and real. Like, we understand that anything we see on the mainstream media, all the questions are heavily scripted. All the candidates have prepared answers, and it just doesn't seem nearly as authentic. And we also know that they lie and they manipulate and they deceptively edit the content. Whereas with this 3-hour interview, he posts it unedited and we just listen to it. And we draw our own conclusions. I think that's the way forward. I think that's going to be what's best for Americans. All right. So Vice President Kamala Harris, Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, just told us that Trump said, "Why aren't my generals like those of Hitler?" Go online and listen to him say it. Yes, I'm sure this is 100% true.
But I'm going to tell you what doesn't help. Again, I invite you to listen and go online to listen to John Kelly, the former chief of staff of Donald Trump, who has told us, Donald Trump said, why aren't my generals like those of Hitler's? Like Hitler, who has referred several times, we've heard the reports for years. But
I can't believe these people still think that we're going to fall for this. We have heard for the past 8 years since Trump first started announcing that he was running, I believe that was in 2015, that Trump is the banality of evil, that he's literally Hitler. We've been hearing this for years. It was what they campaigned on in 2016 and 2020. Trump is Hitler. Trump is Hitler. We've heard it ad nauseum. And guess what? Trump came to power, and wouldn't you know it, the country was better, actually. Trump wasn't rounding up Jews and throwing them into camps. Trump was actually trying to secure our border from an invasion, and Trump was making moves to improve our economy and making lives for Americans overall better. That's what he was doing. So they try to paint Trump as being this fascist Hitler sympathizer, and we lived under his presidency. What are you talking about? If he was Hitler, don't you think he wouldn't have left the White House? Don't you think he would have stayed in power? Don't you think he would have used the full power of the ministry to crush his opposition? He didn't do that. Do you want to know who has been weaponizing the legal system? Do you want to know who has been weaponizing every political avenue possible? The Democrats, to try to jail Trump. And they want us to believe he's Hitler? They don't learn. These people don't learn. They're like Disney. They keep making the same mistake over and over again. Calling Trump Hitler is not going to work. People, it won't work. I'm saying this. I'm saying this to give you guys some advice. All right, if you want to win, this is the wrong way to win. All right, it's the same tired thing over and over and over again, and it's falling on deaf ears. The only people who believe this are the most radical people in the nation, and that's not going to be enough to win you votes. These people are so short-sighted and desperate, which brings me to this opinion article from the Daily Wire by Matt Walsh. Days before election, media launches desperate anti-Trump hoax. They are clearly convinced they're going to lose this election, and they're throwing everything at the wall, hoping that it'll stick. Yeah. So 3 years ago, the Atlantic magazine published a long-form article that took a lot of people by surprise. It was entitled "The Great Fake Child Sex Trafficking Epidemic." It dismissed the supposed moral panic among conservatives on the issue, saying that it amounted to an internet conspiracy theory. The Atlantic published this piece just days after a CNN staffer was arrested for attempting to persuade minors to engage in unlawful sexual activity. It was also published while Ghislaine Maxwell trial was going on. Maxwell, of course, conspired with Jeffrey Epstein to operate a sex trafficking ring and that exploited multiple children over the course of a decade. And the piece in the Atlantic came after several reports indicating that the United States, thanks largely to its open southern border, is one of the top destinations for child sex trafficking in the world. So why would the Atlantic run that article? That's a question that still hasn't been answered. Could it be that these internet conspiracy theorists wondered that some of the wealthiest and powerful people in the country, like the people who run the Atlantic, might have some ulterior motives to downplay child sex trafficking? If so, then we can be sure that one thing: a lot of very powerful and wealthy people are panicking right now. Donald Trump clearly has momentum on his side, and this is the same Trump who just a month ago promised to release the full and unredacted list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. He said he would allow the public to know exactly who visited Epstein's private island, which is a piece of information that the government has fought to conceal. Yeah, why is that? That's the mystery. And for those of you who might doubt me, who might be like, no, that's not true. Trump didn't say that. He didn't say he was going to release the Epstein files. Yes, he did. And I have the clip right here, so we're gonna play it. Boom.
But a lot of big people went to that island. But fortunately, I was not one of them.
It's just very strange for a lot of people that the list of clients that went to the island has not been made public.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be.
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. You know, they do that for danger too, because, you know, endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with.
So there it is. Trump just admitted that he would release the Epstein client list. He'd explore that. Man, I have an account. Give me a second while I log in. I have an account. I should be able to log in. All right, I don't feel like logging in because it doesn't have my password saved, and I don't remember off the top of my head. So, whatever. Anyway, from what I understand, Walsh goes on to share that there's another person coming forward with an incident of Trump and Epstein, and evidently Epstein in 1993 was with this woman, and they stopped at the Trump Tower, and Trump and Epstein like roped her in this elevator, and apparently that this happened, and somehow in the past 8 years she never came forward with this. She never told anybody about it, and now suddenly this is a thing. And you know, if you don't automatically find that suspicious, then you're a fool, because obviously it's bogus. Obviously it's not true. Because if it were true, if Trump was really guilty of what they're alleging, then they would have thrown this at him in 2016 and 2020. Why wait till now? It makes no sense. And this is, you know, it's like they're constantly drumming up these sexual assault cases and hoping one of them sticks, but they're not going to stick because nobody's buying it, because we know that you guys are desperate and pathetic. And by the way, you know, from what I understand, they were saying that Epstein had left his apartment or his loft or wherever he owned in Manhattan in 1993, when he didn't actually live there until 1996. So riddle me that. Explain that to me, because that seems like pertinent information. And the truth is that they're scared. They're scared because Trump is gaining momentum. They're scared because it looks highly plausible that Trump is going to win the 2024 election. despite them having all the levers of power, despite them having the mainstream media to run cover for them, despite them having the majority of big tech platforms colluding on their behalf to rig the algorithms in their favor, despite every celebrity endorsement tripping over or celebrity tripping over themselves to endorse that Kamala Harris, they know they're cooked. They know their days are numbered. Look at this is from leading reports. Trump has a 91.9% chance of winning the 2024 election via electoral votes, according to the most recent RCP and Silver Bulletin polling. So it's looking good. Now, I don't know, again, take voting with a grain of salt, but I do think it is looking good for Trump. He's also up in the betting odds, and it's just looking really bad for them. Really, really bad for them. And I think they continue to make the same mistakes over and over again, and it's going to cost them everything. And yeah, so I wanted to play this video. Now, I have not watched this yet, so this is kind of a live reaction. But apparently Tulsi Gabbard is now a Republican, which is also a huge mistake by leftists because they could have had Tulsi on their side, but they alienated her, and they're pushing people right into Trump's arms.
It is because of my love for our country, and specifically because of the leadership that President Trump has brought to transform the Republican Party and bring it back to the party of the people and the party of peace, that I'm proud to stand here with you today, President Trump, and announce that I'm joining the Republican Party.
That's awesome. That is awesome, because Tulsi was one out of all the liberals or Democrats I liked. I probably liked her the most. So definitely respect. I believe she also served in the military, so that's awesome. But the way they treated her was abysmal, and they pushed her right into the Republican Party's arms because we welcomed her. Now, my hope, and this has been my concern with the Republican Party as a whole, if any of you have watched any previous episodes, you know how I feel about this, is that instead of people like Tulsi coming in and conforming to our values, I'm afraid we'll compromise values to appease more people like Tulsi. And I think the opposite should happen. Now that she's a Republican, she needs to get on board the pro-life cause. She needs to start actually demonstrating conservative values. And I'm not going to say what she does or doesn't, because honestly, I don't spend a lot of time following Tulsi anymore. So I don't know how she's evolved, but I'm hoping that she does do this. But the Democrats, man, they just keep making mistakes, man, and floundering, and it's going to cost them. Hold on a second. I have another video that I want to play. I think I lost it. Oh well. I lost it. That's okay. But while they flounder and they make a mess of things, Trump just continues to do things that are really appealing to your average American person. I saw this from the New York Times. Trump flirts with the ultimate tax cut. No income taxes at all. What? If he did, all right. I've been on the fence with Trump. I've come out and said that I'm not voting for anybody right now. But if this is legit, I will go vote. I will go vote. If he's going to abolish the income tax, and that actually will radically transform our lives for the better because of how much money we pay to the government. It's like, God, I don't even know how much, man. It's an insane amount of money. I checked recently. I just don't remember exactly the percent, but it was high. But I was just like, how is the government? I remember thinking to myself, how is the government getting more money than God? They want more money than God wants. Now, if you're a Christian, God wants you to tithe 10%. Income tax, definitely more than 10%, for sure. So the former president has repeatedly praised a period in American history when there was no income tax and the country relied on tariffs to fund the government. Yeah, that's great. Former President Donald Trump has spent much of the presidential campaign brainstorming new and sometimes untested ways to cut taxes. In the election's final stretch, he raised the possibility of going even further, eliminating income taxes entirely. Yes, stop stealing our money. Please let us keep our own money. There is no reason that the government gets my money before I do. And then if I pay too much, they're giving it back to me a year later. No, that is bullcrap. I want to keep my money. During a Fox News segment on Monday, Mr. Trump took questions at a barbershop in the Bronx when asked if the United States could potentially end all federal taxation. Mr. Trump said that the country could return to the economic policies in the late 19th century when there was no federal income tax. It had all tariffs. It didn't have an income tax, Mr. Trump said. Now we have income taxes and we have people that are dying. They're paying taxes and they don't have any money to pay the tax. Yeah. In June, Mr. Trump floated the idea of replacing the federal revenue from income taxes with money received from tariffs. Mr. Trump has not provided specific details of how that would work, and it is unclear if he wants to eliminate all federal taxes, including corporate income taxes and payroll taxes, or only end the individual income tax. Either way, both liberal and conservative experts have dismissed his... I hate the experts so much. They suck so much. Have dismissed his idea as mathematically impossible. Yeah, because you want to know why it's mathematically impossible? I'm not a financial expert, all right? But when you spend more money than you make, then it would be mathematically impossible. But if you actually ran the government not on a deficit, but you budgeted well, and you weren't sending billions of dollars to Ukraine or billions of dollars to Israel, and you weren't paying for DEI initiatives and all the other nonsense. If you actually had Elon Musk be run the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, then we would cut all these bullcrap programs that we don't need, and we would actually have the budget to make this happen. Even if Republicans control Congress, lawmakers are unlikely to dismantle the income tax system. Yet Mr. Trump's combination of tax cuts and tariffs increases has been a central to his political pitch. There is a way. If one planning comes out, Mr. Trump's said of ending the income tax. Replacing income taxes with tariffs would reserve the progressivity of the tax system in the United States. In general, the income taxes are progressive, meaning that Americans with more income pay a higher tax rate. Tariffs, which impose a tax on products imported into the United States, are regressive. They raise the price on imported items like clothing and groceries, placing a larger burden on lower income Americans who spend a bigger percentage of their income on those goods. Well, wouldn't it, guys, again, I'm not an expert on economics, all right? I'm just thinking out loud. Wouldn't it make sense then, though, that would incentivize us to not be so dependent on other countries and start producing some of those goods in our own country, and then we're spending the money in our own country and revitalizing our own country and bringing business to our own country? Wouldn't that be beneficial for Americans? Mr. Trump has denied that Americans pay the cost of the tariffs. He argues that companies overseas bear the cost of tariffs on the products they ship to the United States. Economists largely debunk that argument. Companies generally pass along those higher costs to consumers by raising prices. Well, what if they weren't paying payroll tax? Then maybe they wouldn't. I don't know. Why does the United States have an income taxes? Because they hate us and they want to bleed us dry. That's why. The United States put income taxes in place to achieve two main goals: raising taxes on the rich So, by the way, anytime they tell you that they want to tax the rich, that's a bold-faced lie, and that means that they want to tax the poor too and middle class. So, according to the New York Times article right now, income taxes were put in place for two main goals: to tax the rich and paying for a larger federal government. Yes, the federal government has gotten larger, but the lie is that it wasn't just for the rich; it was for us too, which is why we're paying 20+% in income taxes on our paycheck a month to these goons that just piss away your money. The country briefly had an income tax during the Civil War, but it was not until Mr. Trump's favorite historical period, the late 19th century, that the idea gained ground again. Tariffs largely funded the federal government. So they did it before, but Democrats of the era wanted to collect more money from the wealthy by charging income tax. Well, is it all you need to do to know that this is bullcrap and that the Democrats are liars is ask yourself, are only the wealthy paying income tax? No. No, they're not. You can look at your paycheck right now, and you could see that the government is stealing your money from you, stealing your hard-earned money from you before you even get to touch it. They automatically take it out. So what they intended to use for the rich was largely passed on to the poor. In the late 1800s, Democrats led by William Jennings Bryan attacked tariffs as a burden on the poor Americans. Republicans supported tariffs as a way to protect American industry from foreign competition. Smart. They actually had smart ideas, because now, like, all of our jobs are overseas. Foreigners are stealing our jobs. Everything is made overseas, and nothing is made here. And we're too dependent on our foreign adversaries for stability. There was real concern about the inequality, just as there is today, as there were great disparities in wealth and poverty in Gilded Age, and so the income tax was seen as a necessary leveler by its proponents, said Stephen R. Wiseman, the author of the book on the history of the income tax in the United States. All right, I don't want to read this whole thing. This is way longer than I bargained for. Ultimately, I do think Trump abolishing the income tax is a good thing, a net positive. I don't see it being met with a lot of backlash. I'm going to be honest with you, even from liberals. Maybe the elitist ones that want to deceive people into thinking that we're just going to tax the rich and it's not going to be passed on for the poor. But the poor people in the middle class, they know that's bullcrap, because we get paid weekly or bi-weekly, and we see the amount of money that we're paying in taxes. We see the insane numbers that we're paying. So that's not going to work. It just flat out isn't. So yeah, I think this is a positive development from Trump. I hope Rogan asks him about this tomorrow. Also, there is a bet, by the way, if they're going to bring up the McDonald's incident with Trump on Rogan. I think some guy is betting like $5,000 they are going to bring up that McDonald's incident, and his payout is going to be like $8,000 if he wins. I guarantee it's going to be brought up. So I'm not encouraging anybody to make bets, but it seems like a good bet to me. All right. Let's get into this Ben Sharpiro owning the libs, because I love to see it. I love to see Ben returning to his roots. All right. Surrounded by 25 Kamala supporters and leftists, Ben Sharpiro patiently explains what abortion actually is. I'm just going to play the clip.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well, how are you?
Hello, nice to meet you. Oh wow, you look better in person. Okay, so.
That's very sweet of you. I don't often get that, so thank you.
Okay, it's fine. But
I think we're out the gate flirting with Ben. That's kind of wild.
But yeah, how do you define abortion really quickly?
Abortion would be the forcible termination of an unborn human life.
Yes, but like, why do you hold that definition? Like, would you not assume like something like a C-section would be considered an abortion?
No, because.
Can I answer real quick? I know he's going to give a good answer, but What? What the hell? A C-section is not an abortion. An abortion is intentionally ending the life of a human being. That's what an abortion is. A C-section is the delivery of a living human being, a living baby. That's what a C-section is. It's delivering the baby alive.
Because the baby is born alive.
But I'm a
So
little
how would
bit-
that be an abortion?
What does the definition of abortion have to include the death of a fetus?
Because that's literally the definition of abortion.
It literally isn't, though. Where are you getting this?
It literally is. It is. The Harvard Medical School definition of an abortion is the removal of pregnancy tissue, products of conception, or the fetus and placenta after birth from the uterus. All right, that is not the mainstream definition of an abortion. I'm going to look that up real quick because I know that's not. All right. All right. Abortion. The deliberate termination of a human pregnancy, often performed during the first 28 weeks of pregnancy. That is what an abortion is. And this is just euphemistic language for murder. So abortion is murdering, ending the life, deliberate, intentional termination. This is murder, termination, murder of a human pregnancy, human being, baby in the womb. That's what it is. So I just wanted to clear that up because I thought that was relevant. All right, I'm gonna let the video finish.
Definition from?
Where are you getting your definition from?
Let's go to like what, like, do you like fucking like Mayo Clinic, like any fucking like hospital you've
A
ever gone to
C-section,
before?
a C-section ends with the birth of the child.
Right, but
I know.
but abortion,
both I and all three of my siblings were
but
born via
abortion generally.
C-section.
Yeah, I understand this. but
I'm here. I'm talking to you.
I know, baby.
Thus I was not aborted.
I understand this, but like yes, but like no. Well, yes, but like no. But no, you could simply say that abortion is simply the ending of a pregnancy, right? So the ending of a pregnancy
No,
outside of the natural
say that.
birth of a fetus. So I
No,
don't see that. I don't see why you would say that like it would have to end in the death of a fetus, which is why I'm pro-abortion all 9 months, right? Because say if a woman is not able to pass a fetus in the natural way, we could have these other abortion processes that would say like, okay, like she needs some type of induction that doesn't include the actual natural expulsion of a fetus, but it doesn't always end in the death of a fetus. So I don't see how you could say that Kamala Harris' stance is immoral in this sense.
I just don't understand how you're removing the death of the fetus from the equation about abortion. That's literally the entire moral issue. You and I would not even be arguing if we were talking about C-sections or about natural birth.
But it seems like at its core, though, we disagree on what the inherent definition of abortion
then
is.
you could leave away. We could very easily solve this. Let's just not talk about the word abortion. Let's talk about the forcible termination of a baby.
Okay, so then what do you value in the fetus then?
The life of the fetus.
Okay, so then when is this, you said it begins at conception?
Yes.
And why is that?
Because that is literally the biological definition of when an independent life
Yes,
begins.
but like, why does it have moral value?
It has moral value because that's literally the biological definition of when a human life begins.
Right, but like, why does that have moral value though?
Okay, why does any life have moral value?
I would value sentience.
But why?
Right, because
Based on what?
This is simply what we value, like you and I value. Like, is it okay to like unplug like a brain dead patient, for example?
I mean, the question is whether it's okay to unplug a brain dead patient. Actually, quite a controversial one in sort of religious circles.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as why, I'm just wondering if somebody's in a coma and you know they're going to wake up, do you have the right to unplug them?
Well, coma's not brain dead though. We know that there's future sentience there. Like it would be like a matter of like a conjunct of like past, future. Like I'm sorry, past, present, or future sentience. But like a person in a coma has. I
agree, and guess what? Fetuses also have guaranteed future sentience.
Well, no, because you're only valuing one half of the conjunct. That's not right. So it would be past, present, or
now
future.
You're changing the topic. I mean, we started with what's the value of the fetus.
Yeah, she just continued to move the goalposts, man. I mean, over and over again. So first, she's conflating C-sections, delivering living babies, as being an abortion. No, nobody in the pro-life movement believes that. Abortion has always been defined as the intentional ending of a human life. Now, they'll use euphemisms like fetus. It's a developing human being, by the way, but abortion is still the intentional ending of a human life or the termination of a human pregnancy. Doesn't matter. It still results in the death of a life form. And conservatives believe, as Ben had stated, that life begins at conception and that all life has inherent value. So then she switched, she moved the goalpost to sentience, and then she brought up people in coma. But, and Ben correctly he countered every single thing that she said, where she was backed into a corner. I guess she ran out of time. But he makes the correct point that if somebody is in a coma and we know for a fact that, let's say, for argument's sake, in 9 months they're going to become sentient, we wouldn't dare pull that plug. And with babies in the womb, we know for a fact, unless there's some severe medical complication, that the baby will be fully sentient when it is delivered. And earlier than that, while it's in the womb. It's guaranteed. And they want to make the argument to snuff out this baby's life. Now, she was confused and all over the place, and she did not perform well. But let's see how this Troon does in this debate. I could tell this is a biological female because she won't let Ben speak. Kate keeps bringing up irrelevant personal details. All right.
Wow, okay, we're going to take this chair. Look at that.
Hey, Ben.
Like a bro, my friend. All right.
How's it going?
Let's break open
So, first
She's trying too hard.
question, can men get pregnant?
Men cannot get pregnant.
Okay, awesome. So,
Definitionally.
definitionally, okay. Do men experience SA? Sexual assault?
Sure.
Got it. What about the existence of trans men?
What about?
Trans men don't exist. I'm still streaming on Twitter, so I don't know if I could say that. I got banned before. But men who are pretending to be women, that's all it is. Pretend. There's no actual person that's legitimately has transcended their gender. That's impossible. It cannot and will not ever happen.
About the existence. Do you mean women who believe that they are men? What are we talking about here? Women experiencing gender dysphoria?
So my other question is, do you benefit from white supremacy in any way, shape, or form?
I'm going to need more specifics on what you mean by white
Well, here,
supremacy.
let me give it to you then.
Sure, please.
So I'm a transgender man.
Okay.
I've experienced SA.
Okay.
And abortion rights affect me directly. So if we're talking about the American...
So in other words, he's a woman who unfortunately, tragically, was essayed, and that's horrible. But this is just a woman.
American dream that you live.
So
Why don't I have access to that?
You
Because
do.
there's no
'Cause you're a woman.
legislation, what, in the history of America, that legislates a man's body. So why does mine have to be legislated? I've got a vagina.
Actually, that's not true. There are legislations against men's body. It's called the draft. We've had this conversation recently, but there is legislation against men's bodies. And when it comes to abortion in particular, we're not legislating your body. We're just stopping you from murdering another body. It's just laws against murdering other human beings, silly things like that.
I'm not interested in what your genitalia are.
Clearly you are. I mean, it's all over everything you make, buddy. I'm sorry. I hate to say it to you, but
I think you can read on my face that I
obsession
radically
you
am
guys
not.
have.
I think you can read on my face that I radically am not. When we're talking about
No,
abortion,
I don't. I mean, you can present it here, but in most of the content that you have, you attack my community constantly. And you don't even realize guys like me exist, who actually share a lot of similarities
You
to
don't
you
exist.
and everything, because I'm a married man of 20 years. Got
I
a wife.
recognize that
Married
you
woman.
exist. I disagree with your
Right.
claim
So
that you
if
are a
I
male.
was
A lesbian.
Well, okay, we're going to take this.
So, yeah, he just kept bringing up like random points. And I wish I knew so this is about pro-abortion. So he's trying to argue for trans women's right or trans women's right, which is for men's rights to abort their babies. It's just just feminist crap. This is a feminist. This is a woman pretending to be a man who just wants the right to murder her unborn child. So sick, demented, weird. And I thought Ben handled that pretty well, although this individual, as Matt points out, didn't really give an opportunity to speak. But that's what they have to do. Man, I am trying so hard not to talk about transmissions, and kind of unavoidable. I actually had have a section here for Rumble exclusive content that I'm going to talk about because I just can't talk about it live streaming on Twitter. All right, some more random news that I want to cover. I saw this clip and I just thought, God, this guy sucks so much. So, Toronto actor Simu Liu shuts down bubble tea pitch for cultural appropriation.
I am studying your can, and I am looking for anything that tells me where boba came from. And where boba came from is Taiwan. You know, I started this venture company for a lot of reasons, but really primarily to uplift minority entrepreneurs. And not only do I feel like this is not happening here, but that I would be uplifting a business that is profiting off of something that feels so dear to my cultural heritage. I want to be a part of bringing boba to the masses, but not like this. So for that reason, I'm out.
Thanks.
Respect that.
Respect that.
Makes me sad how successful this business is. It makes me sad that people are, you know,
Why?
they're drinking boba with a raccoon with a sun.
It doesn't mean that they don't have the opportunity to change and do that.
That's true, but there has to be a willingness, and I have to be able to invest in these founders knowing that,
Right, but they
change is possible.
they didn't say no. The collaboration that they've had to this point is with their supplier in Taiwan. And if nobody else has told them that before, you can't put that all on them.
Guys, just realizing what a schmuck he is. Oh yeah, I'm kind of a jerk. Kind of a douche. I don't know. Is that a bad word, guys? I don't know if it is. Anyway, real tool here, man. So this is how ridiculous these people are. So because they don't have that boba came from Taiwan on the can, instead of giving people the opportunity to experience something from Taiwan, and experience the joy of boba, he said, nope, you guys are culturally appropriating, so nobody gets to have boba now because you didn't do things my way. What a tool, man. Even his own colleagues called him out on it. Like they could have changed. Not that I think they needed to include that it was from Taiwan. And I guess like the people that actually enjoy bubble tea probably know. I didn't know that. I didn't really. I knew it was from somewhere in Asia. I didn't know where. It just tastes good. That's it. You know. But these people are just so obsessed with themselves that they actually ended up shooting themselves in the foot. Like he had an opportunity to share Taiwanese culture with people, and so he's like, nah. It wasn't on the can, so I'm out, guys. I'm out. I need to teach them a lesson. I'm out. Instead of saying, you know, I'd love to invest in this company. You know what I think would be really great is if people understood where this came from. These seem like people that probably been like, you know what? Good point. Yeah. Let's we'll write a little blurb in there. And I think that would have been better for his business, or better business. And now he misses out on this opportunity. And I don't really know what show this is that this comes from, but it feels like Shark Tank or a form of Shark Tank. And I think that's going to come back to haunt that guy. His face says it all. Oh yeah, I messed up. I done messed up, yo. All right, let's see here. Give me 1 second. Let me see what other stories I have. Oh yeah, I saw this one before. There's more lazy, entitled people. Gotta talk about them. All right, Gen Z worker doesn't show up. Surprise, she's fired. All right, let's play this.
I just got fired from my job for being sick. I got hired on March 7th. Somehow I got sick during my interview and I brought home a virus. Told them I wasn't going to be there. I finally get my training done and I'm in the classroom and I get a stomach bug. This is like a week and a half after I got over the cold. At this point, I'm pissing out my ass. So I told them I can't come to work. I'm on the toilet. After the stomach bug, I caught a head cold. And I mean, these were like back to back to back. There was literally a couple of days in between each of these sicknesses. I have a head cold now and I have a fever. Can't go to work. In between all of this, me getting sick, I had 2 court hearings that I had to be there for. That should have been excused. I finally get over the head cold and I get a fucking chest cold, which I have right now. So then on Tuesday, I called out because I had a fever. I was really fucking sick. I get called to go to fucking HR's office and she fucking terminates me for my attendance.
Yeah, good. They dodged a bullet there. One, just before I comment on the actual, like, can these women actually, I hate this trend of women talking like degenerate trash. So in this stream, she burps disgusting and then talks about like her bodily, like, just act like a woman a little bit, you know, just pretend you're a woman for a little bit and have some decency. God, obnoxious, man. I'm so glad my wife is a lady and I don't have to deal with disgusting stuff like this. So that's a side note. But with this, yeah, a company, especially when you first start with a company. So when I first start with a company, typically for like the first year, I don't call out at all unless I'm legitimately sick. A head cold, sniffles, also go to work. It doesn't matter, especially when you first start. Those first couple weeks, they can literally fire you for any reason. So you want to make a good impression. You don't make a good impression when you're constantly calling out. And maybe I'll give her the benefit of the doubt that she was sick and, in the beginning. But it seems like she was constantly sick, but not sick enough to record a TikTok video. She doesn't sound that bad to me now. She looks like she's perfectly capable of working. I don't know what her job demanded of her, but she just didn't show up. And she expected to still have a job. No, there are other people that will show up to work and won't come up with every excuse in the book. And then you also want them to accommodate your court cases? Really? No. They're under no obligation to have to do that. This is the real world. And work shouldn't be a safe space for you to show up whenever you want to show up and think there's not going to be any consequence, especially when you first start. Dumb. And then most jobs have like an allotted amount of sick time or PTO that they give you, and that is what it is. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's not for everybody, but that's the way most of corporate America works. And if you don't like it, then you can work for yourself. You can come up with your own business, and you'll realize real quick while running your own business that you can't actually afford to take time off, that you have to work no matter what. So some days you just have to suck it up. You have to put on your big girl pants, deal with the stuffy nose, and go to work. Tomorrow, I'm starting to get the sniffles. I'm still going to work. I'm not calling out. I got to provide. I got to show up. So, unless you're like running a fever or you're just then stay home. All right. So I don't want anyone to take me into contact. If you're feverish, contagious, stay home. If you have an option to work from home, work from home. Don't be giving that to your employees. All right. Oh, I wanted to talk about this. I'm not going to watch this whole video because it's super long. I'm not spending 20 minutes. But so Mr. Beast teamed up with Logan Paul and I think KSI, and they released a competitor product to Lunchables called Lunchly. And I've been hearing nothing but negative things about it from the time that they announced it. And apparently multiple people have reported that it has mold. So let's play this video and see what she discovers.
This is molded. That's mold. This is not safe. Hey guys, it's Ro. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna be comparing Lunchly and Lunchables. For those of you who don't know, Lunchly is a super original product that has never been seen before. Some of the most brilliant minds of YouTube came together to create Lunchly, who really care about people and their nutrition and their kids, came together to make this epic product. I'm so sorry. I think I threw up a little bit saying that. None of them are foodies, nor do they give a shit.
Wait, so it's just Prime and Feastables in a Lunchables?
I got some plates here. First things first, let's just open them up, put them on a plate, see what they look like. I also have a panel of esteemed, non-biased judges that will be doing a taste test, so stay tuned for that. I don't have the Turkey Stack'ems one because over the last month, 4 weeks, we have been looking for it nonstop. It sounds like the stores that we went to had never got them because no one had ever seen them. All right, so let's open these up. Oh man, this packaging. I like that it just says epic ingredients. We'll break it down. We'll see if these are epic ingredients. Oh, wow. Okay, let's get this going. This one does not say epic ingredients.
I think how we're doing the first. Let's not pretend for a second that Lunchables is better, all right? Like, I'm not going to say that Lunchly is good for you, but I'm under no illusion that Lunchables is better for you. Like, I'm pretty sure everything in Lunchables is 100% processed crap. And probably, you know, Lunchly, maybe it's like, you know, 50 or 75%.
These are molded. Okay, so these ones are supposed to be good until December, and we just got them from the store. It says used by December 8th, 2024. And today's date is October 16th. So these are supposed to be good for like another 2 months. This is molded. That's mold. This is not safe. Especially like kids that are so young, they may not know what mold looks like, so they might just eat it. I saw a picture circulating about mold, but I didn't know if it was fake or, you know, I just had heard about it, but this is real, you guys.
And there's mold.
Why is there mold in the Lunchly?
Oh my god. It's actually disgusting.
Epic ingredients. This is mold in the cheese.
So yeah, that's been a common theme with the Lunchlys, is that they've had mold in them. I've seen multiple videos. I saw Troon release a video. I don't like giving them what is it? I don't like platforming them, so I'm not gonna play the video. But obviously, you can see with this video that, and the ones that she just showed, that mold is a problem with this product, which at least tells you that it's real cheese. All right. So you gotta give them credit somewhere, all right? They did come up with a product that has real cheese, and it does seem like a relatively easy fix. All they need to do is seal that cheese a little bit better, maybe give it its own package. But I don't know, if I had the option to get something that has fresh cheese and really fresh, you know, once they solve the mold problem, and something that's called cheese product, it's not even real cheese, I'm probably gonna get the stuff with real cheese, because at least the mold tells me that it's real. I mean, I won't eat the mold, but once they approve that packaging, I'll probably, you know, I'd probably eat it. I mean, my wife wouldn't let me eat any of this processed garbage, but still, actually, we like the Feastable bars are pretty good, but everything else she'd say no, absolutely not. She'd treat it like poison coming into the home. But again, I'm gonna come out and say that a lot of people are hating on Mr. Beast, and obviously, yeah, you know, this is an issue. I'm not even gonna make words about it. It's fix your mold problem, dude. Like, it's a very easy fix. You know, people send out, you know, I buy packaged cheese all the time, and it doesn't have mold on it. So obviously, there's fault with his packaging, and he just has to package this better. But I do still think it's a better option than this crap, which is what he's trying to compete with. He's trying to compete with Lunchly. I don't think Mr. Beast is marketing this product as being the healthiest product your kids are going to eat. He's not marketing it like it's a health food. He's marketing it as an alternative. How about Burnt Bean No writes, how about neither for kids and just make food for children? I agree. I 100% agree. My wife packs lunch for our children every time. But I'm going to say, if you're going to make a product like this, there should be some competition, and maybe it'll drive them to make healthier products, healthier options. I don't know. I'm not in this game. I don't make products like that. But I do think if you're going to compete, make a good quality product and one that doesn't have mold in it. And if you do have the time and you do have the money, yeah, make your children a homemade meal. That'll probably be better for them. You can buy, bread and, turkey and stuff like that, and just make their own sandwiches for them and pack them real juice, 100% juice, and real pepperoni. All this stuff would be fine. It might be a little bit more money, but I think it's worth it for your kids' health. But if you don't have the option, if I didn't have the option and my only option was the Lunchly or the Lunchables, I'm probably going to go with the Lunchly, just because I know at least it's real food. And, obviously not the moldy one again. I'll wait for them to improve that product. Okay, we'll do one more video, end it with something wholesome, because I have a lot of wholesome videos saved here on the docket. But this one's good. This one's my favorite. All right. So dude catches the biggest bass of his life and has an insane reaction.
We're like, it might be a worm bite, but it's been windier today. Oh, yeah, it's not a worm bite. It's not a worm bite, turns out.
Giant. Oh, a giant.
It's a giant, so.
Look at that! Oh, it's a giant! It's a giant! Oh, it's a baby! Baby! Oh! 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 It's a giant! It's a giant! Oh! This is my biggest bass ever! Are you shitting me? I'm the bass man! Oh!
That is awesome.
I'm shaking the cameraman. Oh! You can keep F2! Keep it!
Bro, that's not a real fish.
What is this? What is this?
That is awesome. That is this is my favorite video of the year. I would be crying if I caught a fish that big. And my buddy would show just as much enthusiasm as his friend. I mean, that is awesome. And if you've ever gone fishing, man, you know the feeling when you think you got a big fish. I've never quite caught something that big, but I could just catching the little fish that I have caught just brings me immense joy. And I wouldn't be. I'd be in total. I'd be screaming like that guy was, probably crying a little bit. Just shocked. So I thought that was a good way to end the stream. So we've been going for about 2 hours now. So this was my first, I think, 2-hour stream. So I think we covered a lot, and it went better than I had planned. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I'll be doing more of these. Now I need just enough content to go the full 2 hours, but I think we'll do it. I think I'll get into a groove. So instead of spreading everything out around 4 days, I'm just gonna do like news Tuesday, Thursday, and cultural stuff, and then Friday it'll do like more faith-based stuff, and then Saturdays I'll do gaming again. So yeah, I'm excited, guys. I'm enjoying this, and I'm definitely seeing the fruit too of going live longer. More interaction, a little bit more engagement, more viewers. So that's good. So again, if you like this stream, please like, share, subscribe, click the notification bell and stay notified. And yeah, we go live every Tuesday through Saturday now from 9 to 11. So I will be back tomorrow, and I hope you guys have a blessed evening. Deuces.